Hi everyone, this is Charlton Silver with Love Dare Day number 22.
And day number 22 says, love is faithful.
Our Bible verse for today is Hosea 2:21. I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, then you will know the Lord.
And the first paragraph on page 106, everybody needs to read. It says, as Christians, love is the basis of our whole identity. And it gives as a basis the verse, our spiritual rebirth came about because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal, everlasting life. That's John 3:16.
And when asked to clarify the greatest commandments of all, Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your strength, your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. That is Luke 10:27.
And let me say this right now. I want you to think about this. You can't love your neighbor if you think that you stink. Because if that's the case, you can have some stanky love. You know, and the same is for your spouse. You have to begin to practice some self-love. We're not talking about self-gratification. We're not talking about self-indulgence
and selfishness.
But oftentimes we are our own greatest enemy. So we've got to begin to practice loving ourselves so we can love our spouse. It also says our love for each other is supposed to be how people distinguish us as Christ's disciples. That's John 13:35. Because how can I tell you all you need to have a great marriage, but this woman gets on my all nerve. Not my last one, all of them.
It is the root and ground of our existence. That's Ephesians 3:17. Meant to be expressed with passion and fervency. That's 1 Peter 4:8. It is a quality that we are to abound in more and more. 1 Thessalonians 3:12. Always getting better at it, becoming increasingly defined by it. And that's the love. I mean, how awesome is it to know that we are to become increasingly defined by the love we show?
And the only way you can do that is really begin to express that love with an unselfish attitude. And I think to get past the boundaries of our selfishness. Now look, we're just naturally selfish. If you don't believe it, look at a baby. If you don't begin to train a child after about the age of 1 that the world doesn't center around you, you get what we have now. A lot of adults who still think that they're one. That the world somehow still centers around them. It takes someone, it takes the Lord to help you realize where your new boundaries are.
Yes. So, if love is what we were created to share, what do you do when your love is rejected? How do you handle it when the one to whom you pledge your life stops accepting the love you're called to give? And they give this accounting of the prophet Hosea.
Oh, that's a tough one. It's tough. Because he was called to be with the prostitute Dora. And it hurt him. She continuously went out and did things that were not only against their relationship, but at that particular time in history really didn't make him look much like a man at all. But God continuously had him go back. He was obedient to the Lord to go back to that woman. Even when she found herself in slavery, he had to go and buy her back off the block. And he was giving as an example, hey, this is what it means to me when I have to give up even my son for you. I want you to see how much it takes for me to love you.
And it's a true story, but it was used as a picture of God's love for us. He showers his favor on us without measure. He doesn't sit there and say, okay, you get a cup of love today and a teaspoon tomorrow. He doesn't do that. It's without measure. And though in return, we don't even recognize it. We don't even pay it any attention. Oh,
but you know what? If it were us, oftentimes, Sybil, we are weighing the scale. We watching that little scale to make sure that arrow don't tip too far over to the other side.
I've given a teaspoon and then somebody, and you given a tablespoon, and then I gave a cup and you didn't give but a smidgen.
Oh, if the scale starts tipping my way in the giving, I'm going to stop giving for the living.
Until you catch up.
That's right. You need to put something on the scale. I'm taking mine off. Okay then.
God's love doesn't keep him from calling us to account for our mistreatment of him. We pay more of a price for our rejection than sometimes we realize. Yet he still chooses to respond with grace and mercy. And that's Ephesians 1:7. In him we have redemption through his blood and forgiveness of our trespasses according to the riches of his grace. In him we have a model of what rejected love does. It stays faithful.
Oh, Lord, can you stay faithful? Now listen, again, we're not talking about through mental abuse.
Right.
We're not talking about trying to stay faithful through physical abuse where people are trying to actually tear you down to kill you. But if you go back, let's go back to the movie. It wasn't that Caleb's wife was trying to kill him. She just ceased to have anything to do with him and ceased to even respond to any of his overtures of love. But yet and still, he began to grow in his love for the Lord,
right,
which sustained him till she could see the love that he was expressing was real.
Right. And then it says on page 108 that if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is to you? For even sinners do the same. Luke 6:32-33. And then 35 says, love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men.
Oh, good Lord. Get them toes out the way.
Pull them back, pull them back.
But it hit me. I said, your personal expectations can cause personal disappointments. When we begin to expect more than we can even give, you know, when we think we're giving so much, we need to really look in the mirror and see if we're giving as much as we think we're giving.
Right.
Sometimes I think you'll see your giving is a little short.
It's a little short.
But your expectations of your spouse could potentially be too great because maybe you are giving more. But are they giving you as much as they can? The Lord gave me this like little parable once because I was looking at one of my kids coloring. And as I said before, when your kids color, it's ugly. There's nothing good looking about that. They're not in the lines. The colors don't match. They're not coordinating or any of that. But you know what? You don't judge the lines. You judge the effort.
Right.
And the effort is what makes their drawing so beautiful.
Right. That's awesome. I like that parable.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. You can give undeserved love to your spouse because God gave undeserved love to you. And he didn't just do it one time. He did it repeatedly and enduringly. Love is often expressed the most to those who deserve it the least.
Ask him. I got to read this one. Ask him to fill you with the kind of love only he can provide. Then purpose to give it to your mate in a way that reflects your gratefulness, not to your mate, but your gratefulness to God for loving you. That's the beauty of redeeming love. That brings back. That's the power of faithfulness, which means you've got to have some belief in what you're doing.
You have to. You have to. Today's dare is love is a choice, not a feeling. It is an initiated action, not a knee-jerk reaction.
Come on now.
Choose today to be committed to love, even if your spouse has lost most of their interest in receiving it. Say to them today in words similar to these: I love you, period. I choose to love you even if you don't love me in return.
And sometimes you're going to have to say that in your heart before it can ever come out of your mouth.
Right.
But because we have to practice and put forth in advanced announcements what we're going to do toward the future in our lives, in anything, and especially in our relationship. So you got to remember, only through Christ can this love last for eternity.
Forever. Day 23 says love always protects.
I got you back, baby.
All right, boo.
So, hey, just go out to strikingconversations.com. Don't forget to get registered. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter. So we're tweeting with you all and everything. So be sure to join us tomorrow. We love you.
We love you.